Dozens to hundreds die annually, thousands displaced in flash floods. In 2012, one of the deadliest in Nigeria's history, affected 7 million people and killed over 300. Every year, the rains return and with them, disaster. Homes swept away, farmlands drowned, and families forced to start over. 2022 recorded the worst flood in decades with over 600 killed, massive farmlands destroyed, and 1.4 million displaced. Nigeria have been experiencing flooding for years, but each year takes us by surprise. Intense seasonal rains overwhelm poorly planned drainage system, while major dams overflowing and submerging surrounding communities. Every year, agencies like NEMA, the National Emergency Management Agency, and NIMET, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, issue warnings alerting state and residents to prepare. This year, 2025, the federal government has warned that heavy flood would hit 198 local governments and 31 states. Why do Nigeria keep facing this recurring crisis? Although its impact has started reaping of communities and state, the youth surely has a role to play.
Hello and welcome to 360 Youth Dialogue. This is where we talk about issues affecting the youth, and if it's affecting the youth, we're talking about it here on 360 Youth Dialogue. And also, we're not just talking about issues affecting the youth, we're talking about how the youth influence these issues that are affecting them. And today we're talking about a very, current issue, and it's called flooding, the reoccurring and resurgence of flooding crisis in Nigeria, Nigeria's reoccurring crisis. And I have with me a very young, vibrant person to do that. And it's good. It's very good. You know, I'm excessively happy because it's one thing to get the old people to talk, to do the talking and all that, but it's very needed to let the young people also do their talking, let them advocate, let them speak up, let them say their innovative ideas. And you know, they say the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. So when they bring up these ideas, it can all effectively touch our tomorrow. I have here with me Ekene Okolo. He's a technical delivery and impact lead. You're very welcome, Ekene. Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you so much, Juliet, for that introduction.
I mean, it's a smile for me.
Because whenever I have opportunity to be involved in this kind of conversation, I'm always delighted, honestly. So my name is, like you mentioned, Okolo Ekene Peter, and currently I am the technical delivery and impact lead at the Youth Network for Community and Sustainable Development. In short, YNCSD.
But let's come back to this icebreaker question, because I see the way you're flowing and it's giving me energy this morning. It's really giving me energy. And this is where I would have to ask you, if you should change something in Nigeria today, what would that be?
Oh, if I need to change something in Nigeria today, it's very simple. First society for both genders.
You're really an advocate of he for she. You're a feminist.
Yes, you can call me a feminist, female ally. You can call me, but I am against toxic masculinity. Yeah, it's what has eaten deep. So if I'm to change something, and I will change that narrative, because just a little bit, we don't understand. I feel, my personal opinion, that generally men who do not understand the importance of women are threatened, and due to that fact, they try to use dominion, or they try to dominate, so that, because women are exceptional beings, I must confess. Women are exceptional beings, and forget all about that thing that I've said about emotion, and or women are if you put them in position, they deliver.
Yes, very correct.
So men do not have that capacity. That men are egotistical in nature.
Yeah,
So
let's leave it before we deviate. Okay, why I invited you for this is because of you've carried out a lot of research on your organization and yourself. I've carried out a lot of research on climate change, especially on vulnerable people, that's women and the youth especially. So let's start with your perspective about flooding in Nigeria. Is it more human factor or more of nature factor?
So flooding in Nigeria, it's not dependent on one alone.
Okay.
It's a function of the two. Now, I would say in Nigeria, geographically, there are certain areas that are prone to flooding. That one is natural. But you also know that sometimes drainage blockage can increase the chances. So what human factor would do is that it increases the chances. Yeah, there are natural causes, especially places because you can't tell me that Kogi State should not be flooded annually. I mean, that's where the confluence happens, and if there is increase in the level of water, definitely it's going to overflow. So it's a function of the two. Yeah, natural forces and also human forces.
So if you're to ratio it, what would be your ratio, natural, human? What exceeds what? Talking about, and I would like us to talk about the causes here, because you've mentioned drainage, blockage, and the rest. But if you're to ratio the two factor, who would take more chunk of the ratio?
So before I answer that, let me just give a little bit background.
Okay.
Between 1985 and 2018, Nigeria recorded the highest average annual flood frequency in West Africa. The 2012 floods alone affected 7.8 million Nigerians, caused 363 deaths, led to 14.9 billion in losses. This is, I am quoting Oyedele et al. 2022. Anyone that wants to verify. And in 2022, millions were again displaced, showing how frequent and devastating floods have become. River, by its natural design, is meant to flow.
Yes.
Humans, by our natural design, is to be innovative. So if you're asking me the ratio between the causes, I would say it's 50-50.
So the human factor and the natural factor, 50-50.
Yes. It's so because the natural factor, it's there, it cannot be changed. And Nigeria, we have a large body of water, you understand? Especially most states in Nigeria, I can't remember the actual number, but I know that a number of states in Nigeria I'm from Delta State. In Delta State, we are exactly. So that kind of thing.
I stayed in Delta, so
I
know the water mass.
Right. So that kind of thing, you know that the chances of flooding is actually high because of the presence of that body of water alone. Right. Now, on the other end, if the other 50% is kept in check, the drainages are cleared. No plastic pollution, because another thing that causes flooding is plastic pollution. Right? If all of that is kept in check, then the water will have a free way to run. If it has a free way to run, then there will be no flooding. Water flows, human being lives, life is saved.
I like the way you said it. Water flow, human being lives, life is saved. But we're now seeing more of, this water drainage and clogs and all that. Like you said, in 2012, it was like a hit. Over 300 people dead. And between 2011 to 2022, over 1,000 people have lost their lives. And in 2022 alone, we've had should I call it the biggest blow, because 600 people died. So now let's talk about the reoccurrence of this incident. To what would we credit this reoccurrence? Looking at, you said the fact, 50-50. Let's talk about more of the causes. What really can we credit this reoccurrence to?
The first thing I would credit the reoccurrence to is the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon.
Okay.
Whenever the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon is emptied into, I think that should be River Nile. River Niger, I don't know. Maybe River Niger.
River Niger, yeah.
So when it's emptied, what does that do? It increases the mass of that water.
Okay, that's the already natural rivers.
So already there is an existing river, and if that is emptied, so that has been one major cause that has been one major factor that causes the reoccurrence each year. Another thing is rainfall. Our rainfall is not as it used to be. It's highly irregular now. So, and it's basically due to industrial actions, depletion of the ozone layer, and all of that alters the structure of the rainfall. And if we have rainfall more than we should, that also contributes to increase in the body of water. If there's an increase in the body of water, what does that mean? And let's say there's an increase in the body of water and we don't have a proactive government who went ahead to say, okay, because NIMET is there to give, there's weather forecast everywhere. But the problem is that when information is given, preparations are not made. So when informations are given, early warning sign, early warning announcement and all goes out, okay, prepare. There's no preparation. Nobody goes to check if the pathway is clear. Nobody goes to check if they, because I feel that once NIMET or any other forecast agency gives out an information that this is what is expected, what should be done should be, okay, how would this water flow?
Okay. Yes.
So that should be the next question. What are the possibilities that can, is it to expand it? Is it to dredge so that it has depth? Is it to remove, because when water flows over a long period of time, it tends to accumulate sand.
Yes.
And if it accumulates sand, it means that the depth has reduced. If depth has reduced, it means more water would need for more space to flow, and that is how they overflow. Then they go into farmlands and all.
I'm still picking that 50-50 you said now. Climate change, there are human actions that have added to climate change. Now it's more like human factors adding more disaster. So should I use the word 50-100 now because of our human actions? So what are those human actions, or that affect our climate change, that affect the climate itself, and then cause this whole change and excessive rainfall and all that?
Bush burning.
Bush burning, okay.
Bush burning, industrial actions. There are a lot of industries.
Oh.
In the village, people still burn. People that cook with firewood.
Very true, very true. And yes, very correct.
And you know what happens when people cook with firewood? Where is firewood gotten from?
From plants.
From plants. So a person cooking with firewood has displaced a plant that is supposed to
absorb water. Oh.
Another thing, not to digress, but one of the things that has made flooding so serious is that around riverine areas, or generally, if you look very, discover that there are not enough trees like before. So when the water comes, it comes with full force. There is nothing to hold it back.
Yeah.
So when a person cooks with firewood, let's say this, even large industrial company that releases carbon monoxide into the atmosphere, that causes depletion of the ozone layer. If that causes depletion of the ozone layer, the ecosystem is troubled. It's not balanced again, because it's supposed to be human breathe out
carbon
dioxide, plant takes in carbon dioxide, gives out oxygen. That way, that can be that imbalance can affect precipitation.
Yes.
If it affects precipitation, sometimes it will be very dry, other times it will be very heavy. If that balance is affected, it's going to contribute to climate hazard.
So let's go back a bit to when you said the government. You said they were not, because we had a talk before now, and you said the government, they're not proactive, we're reactive to things. And according to this research I did, they said in developed countries that uncontrolled, or rather inadequate preparedness and government policies plays a role in all this. Lack of political will, that's the word I'm looking for, lack of political will. How do you think this affects, or contributes as a cause to climate change and flooding itself?
As I'm talking to you, the National Adaptation Framework, Nigerian National Adaptation Framework, that is supposed to be how a nation is to adapt to climate change, has not been translated into policy.
Okay.
I think, I can't remember the act, maybe 2020 or 2017, I can't remember. They, with support from one of these donor agencies, they were able to finish the framework. What we have on ground is the framework. It has not translated into policy. So the question that should be, how then have we been adapting to this climate change? If up until now, the National Adaptation Framework has not translated into national adaptation policy. So we don't have climate adaptation policy as I'm talking to you.
So it hasn't even been translated to policy, not alone implementation of these whole policies.
Yeah. So then also the National Emergency Management Act, NEMA 1999. NEMA 1999, what year are we? Okay. And we are still using 1999 Act that has not been updated. NEMA 1999 is outdated and inadequate for addressing climate-related disaster. It does not have gender integration strategies, and it excludes needs of women and girls. We have another policy, NDRM, National Disaster Risk Management Framework. This one, National Disaster Risk Management Policy, this one acknowledges the fact that there is a gap in NEMA's acts. But if you look across board, there is no gender consideration. Another thing is there is no coordination between the different. Tell me, why should NEMA operate independently from security, from health, from they're supposed to work as one system. Agriculture, health, security, all of that is supposed to be under NEMA, because when emergency happens, health is affected, agriculture is affected,
lives are lost,
and all of that. So if there is a well-coordinated mechanism, it will be easier for NEMA to know how to channel resources. But now we have NEMA, we have agriculture, we have what else? We have so the whole diversification, right? Because each of these people have their different heads.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, the political will. If I am the head of a particular security agency and NEMA has another head, you cannot superimpose what you want on me. Even though flooding has happened, I am in charge of security, so you need to follow due process to come to me. What does that happen? Institutional bottlenecks. Health, oh my God, we need access to dignity kits for women and girls. No, you should write a report to the PEMSEC or to whoever is the head. But NEMA is saying, I am from National Emergency Management Agency. That is your own office. So all of these discoordinated approaches, right, prolongs the process. So it makes responses difficult. Now, from this you discover that there will be no political will. I mean, NEMA is strictly for emergencies, so NEMA should coordinate whatever they want to coordinate, unless, especially if the person that heads NEMA is from a different political party.
Okay.
So all of this, and this is whatever that is related to life, not supposed to be politicized.
Yes.
So what I'm saying now is that there is need for a coordinated approach where we'll have one governing body who manage all other sub-bodies. That way, when crisis occurs, NEMA knows who to appoint to do what at what points, and the person reports to NEMA because NEMA is National Emergency Management Agency. We cannot have National Emergency Management Agency and have another person heading security and health that is not even related to them. So in the situation of emergency, all of that, they're interlinked. You get me?
Yes.
So there is need for that. So our government generally, I feel like we need to look more on ensuring coordinated approach. Let us unify whatever department that needs to be unified, so that when crisis occur, because now let me tell you one thing. What even makes flooding worse is not even flooding in itself. Sometimes it is the time from when flooding occurs and when responses comes.
That's why we record a lot of deaths.
Yeah, because then you discover that flooding. So sad to say this, but in Benue State, this occurrence, a number of persons, over 200 or 500, something persons were killed, and it aches my heart that it took over 4 days for us to get a statement from the federal government. Lives were lost. And within that period, we had already given a statement for another country outside Nigeria that was going through some tough times. And I'm asking myself, what is this for? Back home, we have over that's like a whole community gone. And there's no statement, and it took over close to 1 week for government to even issue a statement. Now imagine those people getting interventions. How long would it take them to get interventions? Now, you cannot separate IDP camp from flooding. You cannot separate IDP camp from crisis, because when it happens, that is where, with this knowledge that we know, and I believe our government also is aware, there is still no proactive plans. Now, we have seen that flooding is a recurring issue. If flooding is a recurring issue, the question should be, what do we do post-disaster recovery?
Very important. Post. This is not even pre, because we're expecting it.
Yeah.
This is post. Interesting.
Post-disaster, because after pre, there is post.
Yeah.
People are going to be displaced. Let me give you a scenario what happens. For instance, in Bayelsa, a woman named Nkechi.
This is her real name?
No.
Okay.
It's not
just
real
her.
name. Yeah. It's just a story.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not a real life story. I'm trying to paint a picture. Then flooding occurs. Let's say she's even a single mom. Right? Raising 3 children by herself. Now flooding occurs. All of her has gone. Now she's displaced. Now she went to the IDP camp. Her farmland is gone, mind you. Her major source of livelihood is farming. Now, farmland is gone. She has invested all the money she had into that farm, and now flood has
taken everything.
Now she's in the IDP camp, too, very confused, not knowing when to start. And you're coming to her cooking rice and be giving her.
I'm sorry for laughing.
No, that is the reality. And you want to give her 5,000 naira. Like we always see 2,000 naira. There is need for what? Imagine a situation whereby after, let's say you give them like, okay, you're going to, since your house is gone, if you go back that place, you're going to experience this thing. Now want to build your capacity to increase your earning capacity for you to be able to afford a house in a place that is uphill. We are going to do this with you. Now, bring your name and your NIN. The government is going to get a very large farmland. We are going to get different people to farm. Government will provide all the agricultural inputs and machineries needed. All you need to provide is your labor. At the end of the year, while you are still in that IDP camp, the government would bring, not necessarily invest, would bring a ready market, right? Who would buy all of that in large quantity. They will remove the running cost and give back to the government. The profit will be shared between the government and those persons who did the work.
But just before we run down to solutions and all that, do you think, you've talked about the whole bottlenecks and the disconnection between key major, agencies in the government to contradict this whole flooding. Do you think this whole bottleneck is the cause for their proactive or reactive actions when it comes to flooding? Looking at, it took 4 days before a response was given for this whole emergency, and after we're hearing that, a search is still ongoing after lives have been lost. So do you think it's because of the whole disconnection between them that's causing this whole proactive?
Yeah, the disconnection could be one, but I think it's deeply systemic.
Okay, how?
Now, the kind of policies we are working with, because I don't want to blame it directly on the disconnection.
Okay.
Because even if it's as a result of the disconnection, if the individual entities can stand up to their feet, right, and respond, not just reactively. The issue is the proactive reaction, is the reactive reaction.
Yes.
There is no pre-flooding planning.
We just hear announcements.
So the disconnection, yes, could be due to the variance in political interests and variance in due to differing interests generally. But another major thing that I have looked at and I have seen in this case is that there is no proper monitoring and evaluation.
Monitoring and evaluation.
Now, monitoring and evaluation is an NGO term, but I want to use a term that is more policy inclined. There is no proper
implementation,
even implementation tracking.
Oh, not just the implementation.
I can implement something and then come and tell you it's done. But I have seen a culture where we don't go back to verify.
So, like, a project might be done but not followed up.
So if it's not followed up, then that leaves a gap where people can easily do whatever they think they should do, not what they were told to do.
Okay.
So if a budget was disbursed to NEMA, that budget is supposed to be tracked. What was it used for? Yeah, I know a couple of non-government organizations who do budget tracking, but do we really have a government entity designed to? Somebody should not say Senate now. Do we really have a good design? Because to be very honest, to be incredibly honest, I don't see, no matter how good a person is in budgeting, if a budget is presented, you should ask questions.
Exactly.
So for a person who just approves budgets and does not ask questions, I have lost credibility in that person, right? So when a person is given an assignment, there is a supervisor. The supervisor is supposed to ensure, is this done and is it done to the very best? But over here, it's also a culture of mediocrity.
Okay. I like the way you put that. A culture of mediocrity.
Just good enough is fine. There is no excellence anywhere, and that is one of the major problems. The disconnect is there between, well, which of these entities are really performing optimally in themselves.
But okay, let's move on to the human angle. You made mention about the supposedly in our story now, the Nkechi, the human angle and the impact. Who suffers the most? You already said women and children. So what are the visible effects on these people, not just on women and children now, on young people? Because for me, I feel the youth are mostly at the receiving end of almost everything, because we see a lot of displaced youth, we see a lot of displaced women, and most young people help their parents with a lot of things, and the burden is now placed on them. What are the effects of flooding on these people, looking at education, communities, and all that?
All right. So I will start by saying female-headed households struggle more with post-disaster recovery. And after 2022 floods, only about 7% women restored their business, whereas 25.6% of men restored theirs. At the IDP camps, due to the patriarchal nature of our society, women are not involved in decision making.
Okay, but before we go on that, we'll take a short break, and after that we'll come back to the impact of flooding on women, children, farmers, and most especially young people who are the vulnerable of this whole crisis. Stay with us.
Flooding is a reoccurring crisis in Nigeria that has claimed lives and communities in thousands. Beyond just headlines, we are on the street to get the view of people and the opinion of people on what ordinary Nigerians can do to impact and to reduce the impact of flooding.
Human being contributes almost sometimes 60% of the flooding. Why? Is because where there is a source for the rain, because rain always finds its levels. We don't care whether the level is for the water or for anything. We erect some building and some erections there, either farm or whatever. Then at the end of the day, you are now asking the rain to flow to any angle, and that also will amount to flooding. So in this regard, the thing that is causing it, but beside the natural cause, there's human also carelessness and carefree. And until we are all able to know the philosophy and the ill effect of that and take care of all our environment for the good of our well-being, we will continue to be having that. And at the end of the episode, it will be the human being that take the ramps by the result of the flood.
You see, where I stay, you see when the rain is falling, somebody pack dustbin and put in the gutter. And when the rain subsides, that dustbin is going to settle at a particular place. And the next time rain comes, because rain moves according to the road you give to it. By the next time rain comes, it will not find a way to pass, then it will flood and enter somebody's house. So most of the flooding is being caused by ourselves.
Most times the floods are as a result of blocked drainages. So the little we can do is to be clean and keep others safe, be charitable. Before you drop that dirt, before you drop that polythene bag that doesn't rot, that dirt you want to drop that doesn't rot, you know, those synthetic materials, they block drainages. Some people still flush used pad instead of disposing them properly. So in a nutshell, what we could do as an individual is to try our very best not to dispose non-degradable items into the drainage.
You can't cause flooding and you think government will come and help. They can't help you. They have done whatever they want to do. They have provided the drainage. They have done much of announcements. There will be heavy rain. Please stay away from this community. But no, yet they won't do that. They will even cause more havoc to themselves. So government will also, wherever they know there is a flood-prone area, they should at least be at alert. The level of emergency response should be at a top notch. Not that until it causes havoc that it will now come to the rescue. Look at what happened in Mokwa, so devastating. I was there. I saw how it swept away houses, lives were lost, and these things are avoidable. So government should try more, and citizens also should do more in order to prevent themselves from such occurrences.
Have you ever been a victim of crime? Were you robbed, scammed, betrayed, or harmed, and left with a story the world needs to hear? Do you want to tell your story for impact and awareness? On True Crime Story, we let you speak with your safety and privacy respected. We give real people the platform to speak their truth. We're documenting true stories. Join us. Your voice could be the warning that saves someone else. Your story matters. If you've lived it, we're here to listen. Reach out to us through our social media platform at Third Eye Africa TV or send us an email to share anonymously. Reach out to us through our social media handle at Third Eye Africa TV or send us an email at thirdeyeafricatv@gmail.com to share anonymously. Follow True Crime Stories here on Third Eye Africa TV. Welcome back from that short break. If you're just joining us, you haven't missed a lot, quite all right. But we've been having an interesting topic here, talking about flooding, the reoccurrence of Nigeria's crisis, flooding crisis in Nigeria. And we've seen a lot of death disasters, property loss, and all that. I've been having a wonderful conversation. I want to say a very expressive, emotional, I would call it emotional, because he speaks with emotions, he speaks expressively on the matter of flooding. I've been having this conversation with Ekene Okolo. So good to keep having this conversation with you. And we're still on the visible effect of this. So we've established the fact that, you know, women, children, farmers especially, because they're the ones more prone to this. We said the, communities bush burning. We made mention of bush burning here, and they are now the ones likely to fall victims for this. We don't see flooding in, you know, cities, towns, and that's a question popping up in my head, which I would ask you later. But what are the visible effects on the communities and on these vulnerable people, especially the youth?
One of the vulnerable populations are rural youth. When flooding occurs, rural youth, their major source of livelihood is farming. So their source of income is taken off. And even in the IDP camp too, rural youth, they are not decision making, they are not fully involved in decision making in the camp. For young girls, right, who are also youth, there is no provision for menstrual dignity kits in the camp. For youth who are persons with disabilities, who don't have accessible IDP camps. So how can I, as someone on a wheelchair, enter a primary school that is being used as an IDP camp and it's only stairs that is there? That means they never had me in mind. There is the toilet there is not designed for persons with disabilities. How will I come down from my wheelchair to use the toilet? And there's no form of support. Now, in this conversation, I want us to look at rural youth, youth with disabilities, young women, and young men. These four persons are disproportionately affected. Now, in the IDP camp, another impact of flooding or crisis generally is gender-based violence.
Interesting.
So we have there are high chances of youth falling into molestation, either girls being molested or men being molested, sometimes by even the officials who are designed to be the first line responders. You understand? So, and in such a scenario, our youth are not able to speak up due to the culture of silence. If I speak up, what would they say? Who will listen to me? So the young girls keep quiet. The rural youth, because if you talk, they might throw you away from the camp.
Yeah, because they are feeding you, they are taking care of you at that moment.
Yeah. So another thing that the youth face too is sex for food in the camp. Sex for food, sex for mattress, sex for space. So you see our young men and young women falling into sexual abuse and molestation in the camp. And they don't have anybody to speak up to. The camp is not designed to their best interest, because there is no safe space, there is no anonymous reporting mechanism, there is no sexual assault control. So you don't know where to go to. You are thinking of how you will get out of the IDP camp. So,
or even how you get shelter.
Exactly. So all of that thing and causes affects those population disproportionately.
I like the fact that you took my mind to where it didn't initially go. You know, basically when we talk about flooding, we just look at 200 and people and something people lost their life. This how many people lost their property. This lost it. We don't look at the follow-up effect of these things, and we're in as much as we're trying to curb crime and security, to be security conscious, we're actually giving these people, like you said, we've given them to insecurity. Now we're talking about insecurity to their own self, to their own body, and talking about sexual harassment and sexual violence. But another effect I would want you to talk about is how the future of these people have been denied from them. Looking at, okay, let's say a youth in the camp who was doing well, so to say, had a farm or had a property or something, or was going to school. Now he can't attend school, supposedly, because who's going to take care of you?
When flooding occurs.
When flooding, we're talking about lives here. You're talking about you want to go to school.
Even the primary school ends up being used as an IDP camp.
So now we're now using schools for IDP.
We use schools for IDP camp.
Now, where would the students now have education? So these are the whole thing that we're talking about when it comes to effect. These are the visible effect, and you took my mind to the invisible effect, which is gender-based violence. And the young youth can just move on to criminal activities, like robbing and the rest. Who knows if they are your neighbors? So that's just allegedly anyway. So don't panic when you see an IDP camp close to your environment. But okay. But before we look to the government on, help us with the IDP camps, help us with this, what role does the youth play in, should I say, not just when the flood comes, before the flood? What role does the youth play?
A major role that the youth can play is being involved. So I've seen situations whereby even though they want to include youth, sometimes there's no interest.
Oh, interesting.
There's no interest. They're not going to pay us money, so every youth is all about making money. It's more than just making money. There's no interest. The thing is, if you don't ask for a place at the table, nobody will give you a table. I always tell myself that even if I ask for a place at the table and they don't give me a table, I will make my own table and I invite the people I want.
Very correct. Very true. Okay.
I will make my table and invite the people I want. You understand? So, as youth, we need to learn how to be proactive. We need to learn how to hold the government accountable. How? Or I will tell you how. You see that, okay, announcement has been made in your own local area. You go to your community leader. This is what I have heard. Do we have any plan on ground? We youth as youth, what can we do? Is it to come and plant right? So now that we are here getting this information, we just discovered that river there is no tree there. The youth can mobilize themselves on a tree planting spree. The youth can mobilize themselves to clear canal. The youth can mobilize themselves to pass information, because sometimes the early warning information don't even get to people, the last mile people who don't have internet. So they can form a network. The youth can form a network, and based on that network, carry out campaign. It could be demonstration at the market square. Get some sort of youth. That is, you are trying to pass information. No matter how small, everybody is important in this process. As much as government would do the big thing, you need to also show that you are interested. Somebody will ask, but sometimes these people, they are traumatized and they have gotten used to it. There is a day for change, and that is why we are having this conversation.
Exactly.
There is something you have that you can do, no matter how. There is this woman that inspires me so well, and it's not because I'm a feminist, but Krista Asige.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a senator in Kenya. I think she got visually impaired at 15, and currently she's blind. But sometimes I wonder how is she doing so much work? Because she's a senator, and through her office she has passed the Kenya disability rights. Yeah, and disability, and I'm like, oh my God. So for someone who has that same experience, the person must have or might have written themselves, oh my God, I'm blind, I can't do anything. Yeah. So there is something in everybody. Just look in that and do what you can. You never can tell what the real break would be.
You know, as you were talking, you spoke on the youth not having that interest. What really is making the truth is this: we're clamoring for inclusion, include the youth in policy making. But when we come to reality, when you go to the street, you find out, oh, come and join us in this. They're like, are they paying? Like you said, what's making the youth not interested in roles when it comes to patriotic roles, especially things that would also affect them? What really causes this whole disinterest?
That's a very good question. You know why?
Why?
Because it's easier for me to invest into something when the thing has higher chance of being successful. Okay. And when I know you have my best interest at heart. I can say for sure, I mean with anecdotal evidence, that most youth have lost credibility in Nigeria, in quotes. They feel like, oh no, there's no way again, that kind of thing. So people don't really see the big picture, and that is why they end up doing anything to get money, because they feel like this is somebody that's like 15, 25, and I'm like, so the fault is not theirs. Like I was saying something some time ago, that with this there is this information going over media about a particular person who has a university and is schooling some persons, right, who are the youth we are talking about. Over 25,000 persons join. Do you know what it means for 25 persons to join? And critically looking at that, you would see that a man, right, or a youth eventually will become a man.
Yes. Once
they see that, they always like to go to where they have high chance of being successful. Exactly. They don't want to face challenges. So as far as what you are saying suits them, they will stay there.
Okay.
So many of them are disinterested because they feel like this person does not have my interest at heart. Let me tell you something. I stumbled upon the news online during the incident, when that incident happened in Benue, that I think that was like after 1 month, that people in the IDP camp were crying that the food that they made for them, they were not getting it. Allegedly, the responders who are supposed to be don't take care of them are the ones siphoning food. Has it gotten that bad?
I'm sorry to laugh, but your expressions and reactions are really.
Has it gotten that bad? So I'm like, oh my Jesus, what is going on, right? So when I talk to because it's so bad that when I even talk to some of my colleagues, some of my friends, they be like, leave all this aspire to Maguire. And I'm telling you real life story. I'm telling you it's aspire to Maguire. They don't want challenges at all. They have lost. They think nothing happens again. There's like no possibility again. Yeah, there's no possibility in the worst has happened. So let me just look for who would massage my ego. If you want to keep a man, massage his ego.
So you think because the youth have lost that whole credibility in the country, so whatever that wants to happen, let it happen.
Yes.
If they are killing, no matter how the government even come and clamor, okay, let's do this, let's do that, they don't care.
They don't care. Now, you can see the difference. A particular presidential aspirant last year, when it came up, did you see the way youth were mobilized? Do you see the difference from other political presidential aspirants? Once a person is convinced that you have my interest at heart, they can go any length for you.
So how do we convince? Let's talk about this solution now. How do we convince the youth that? Unfortunately, we're already in the crisis.
Yeah.
We're already in the flooding crisis.
Yeah.
But this is something that reoccurs. This is not something that, I don't know why we are all acting strange. Oh, it's flooded. It's flooding. It's flooding. When we know that this is
it's going to come.
Stuff. So how do we encourage the youth? How do we, should I say, empower them? How do we get them to be involved when it comes to drainage, when it comes to all like community services, and especially also because you talked about post. Now we're talking about pre and post. How do we get them to see that, this is actually for you? We're not just doing government palliatives here.
Yeah. So the thing is, the very first step, I think it has different stakeholders involved.
Yes.
So we have State Emergency Management Agency, which is like a cascade from NEMA, right? Then we have Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. We have, so all of these stakeholders have critical parts to play.
Right.
So I would say to even non-governmental organizations, so what they can do, right? First thing first, very important, is inclusion of disaster response mechanism into the educational curriculum.
Important.
So that as people are growing, as youth, because a child yesterday is a youth today, is a man tomorrow.
Very correct.
As they are growing, once they grow with that knowledge, then they know how to think when the situation presents itself. Ask an average Nigerian, they don't know how to administer first aid. They don't know what to do.
Normal
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Yes.
So it will shock you that even the most learned of persons don't even know.
I will confess, I don't know.
So you now see, because if we want to focus on this, we have to look at it from the roots. Enough. If you want to solve a problem, you're talking from the leaf, eventually it will grow. So what are the factors holding it? We need to do the underground work, the coming generation, because time does not wait.
Exactly.
Time does not wait. So we cannot, while we are trying to carry the order, while I was in Kenya 2 months ago at a conference, I said something at the conference. And I mentioned that because there were a lot of conversation about youth tokenism, and I stood up and I told them that we should not focus so much on giving youth the steering that we forget that the wisdom of the older ones are equally important.
Exactly.
The point is that there should be a mutual collaboration between the youth and the older generation. Even there should be that interlink, that synergy, right? So that what the youth would miss, the other person would see it. What other person would miss, the child will see it. That way, it's holistic. So, because the conversation was just youth. Yes, it's good, but sometimes youth exuberance could get its own toll on us. So we need to keep ourselves. So we need the other generation to keep us in check. So it's more like checkmating ourselves. Unfortunately, that has not proven itself to work in Nigeria.
Okay, let's talk about the federal government has tried its best when it comes to announcement. When it comes to, move to the highlands, move to the lowlands, move away from here, move away to there. But do you think Nigeria, like the federal government, Nigeria as a whole, we're ready for climate change and flooding, the mechanisms against this whole thing?
Okay, I will start from the first thing you said. They are giving announcements. I am a poor man. I don't have money to afford house up hills. That's why I'm staying. Do you think I want to stay by the riverside? And you're giving me an announcement I should move to where? Where should I move to? With which money? If you check the earning capacity of an average Nigerian, it would shock you.
I think it was there was this report of late that said an average Nigerian live on 3,100 daily.
It's shocking. So that kind of person, are giving early warning information. Leave or leave. The person will ask you, leave to where? I don't have anywhere to go to. Let me tell you, when it comes, I will look for a way. So, when it comes to early warning information, I applaud the federal government, I applaud the state government. They are doing so well, but there is much more to do, because even the last mile people, someone who stays, imagine a rural farmer who does not even have a radio, does not have a phone. How would they know the information? How would they get the information? They will just have to rely on their instinct and be measuring the water level daily.
As it's coming, they're like, oh, keep moving.
You keep moving. So that is the major. The information alone is not enough.
Okay.
Information should come with preparation.
Okay. Yes.
You give information, make preparation. Okay, this thing that we are thinking is going to follow. That is how to be holistic in planning. This thing, okay, is going to follow through this route. You check this route. Is it clear? Is it blocking it? Can we mobilize the frontier community to do this? Okay, the IDP camp, is it ready? Is it accessible? Do we have dignity kits because for the fact that a lady is in IDP does not mean menstruation stops. Now the question is, those people in Benue IDP camp, how are they coping with their menstrual period?
Or even with the hunger and then the poverty, the lack. You know, they say once a person is idle, it's the devil's workshop.
So some of them eventually, they might be tempted to become, to start engaging in illicit affairs in the camp, not because they want to, but because they just don't see any other opportunity. So information is not enough. We need adequate preparation. Information is to an end. What is that end? It's for preparation. Information without preparation will also lead to disaster. What makes the difference is not the information. Information is like a preamble. Preparation is the main thing. Okay, this camp is ready. You give information. This water is coming, so it's going to come here. This is where you should follow. This is where boats should follow. This and this and this. This and this and this. Women and girls. Yeah, this. So that is the preparation we are talking about. Then when it eventually comes and hits, you already know that, okay, they know where to go in their head. I'm not struggling for, where is the IDP camp? Where am I going to? So they already know where to go. And at the IDP camp, provisions are made. Okay, we're expecting so number of persons because they already know so number of persons in those villages.
Exactly.
If you check the data collection, it's not even disaggregated by sex and gender. So we don't even know the number of persons with disabilities that we are expecting.
I mean, you talk with so much passion.
Because we're talking about lives here.
Very correct.
When people hear statistics of death, they think it's just numbers.
They just think it's
not numbers, it's people, it's lives. It's lives. Gone, just like that. Cut short. So for me, it's something that's very dear to my heart. It's not a mutually exclusive world. We all can survive.
Yes. So we've said a lot about the warning sign. What should the government do to mitigate this now? Now, what should they do to prepare? Like you said, information is good. Preparation. What should they do to prepare in this whole thing? How can we break free from reoccurring flooding in Nigeria?
All right. Before we go to nitty-gritty of that, first of all, we need an updated law. NEMA 1999 is outdated.
Okay.
NEMA 1999 is outdated and inadequate for addressing climate change. So we need an updated disaster risk management policy to reflect. Now, when these things were made, climate issues were not this bad. But now it has gotten bad. Why are we so fixated? Why are we being so rigid?
Should I say it's do I call it ignorance, or what's the word? Ignorance, or just seeing it as not really important? By the way, there are other issues.
There are other pressing issues. I mean, election is coming up in 2 years, so we need to mobilize insurgents.
Insecurity. There's some. Do you know the funny part?
So the question is, what has been done on insecurity?
That's the thing. There's some communities facing insurgents that's also facing
flooding.
So how do they really cope?
So it bounces back to the fact that if we if we had a working policy on ground, implementation would be easy.
What kind of policy?
Disaster risk management policy.
Okay.
We have one. It's outdated.
Okay.
Then invest in flood resilience infrastructure. Build good roads. I don't mean the ones I don't mean, when I say good road, I don't mean it's a beautiful sum of money invested. Yeah. I mean something that stands the test of time. That even when flooding comes and goes, the road will be a relief.
Okay.
Another thing is integrate disaster into education. I mentioned that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, this is to the Ministry of Education. They can look at that. There is, for even other NGOs who are looking at us, you can do your advocacy from that angle. It's very important. Community-led approach. Another thing with NEMA, apologies. Well, another thing with NEMA is that their approach is top-down.
Okay,
you can't be up there making disaster response decisions for people who are down there based on the theory you have. Okay. There needs to be an inclusive decision making. Call a meeting with the community leaders and the youth and the women. This thing that is coming. Because there's a saying, he that wears the shoe knows where it pinches the most. So you now that you now look at me and say, it's pinching, and I'm like, no, it's not pinching me there. You can actually give me a solution that is not a solution to me.
Okay.
So you need to ask me to know where it's paining me. I'll give a short story about a certain community who have to send their children on a long journey to go and fetch water. I think I shared that with you last time.
Yes.
On a long journey. And a certain NGO came, oh my God, these children are suffering. Oh God, we need to put water for these people so they will not stop. And as soon as they did the borehole, after 2 days, the community destroyed the borehole. And guess what? What they had done, that is the needs assessment that they would have done. So they came and said, they say, you see, this thing you did is not really our problem. Yes. Because most of us don't have money to rent a big house. So all of us will stay in self-contained apartments. So when our children goes, that is when we'll have time for each other. For the husband and wife have time for each other. So you now discover that their major problem was housing, not water. So if you don't ask, you will not know. So there should be a community-led approach. NEMA should provide guide. Let the community take the lead. People become interested when they feel like they are important. Sometimes youth are not interested because they feel that they are just there for being sake, for inclusion's sake. They just want to use them.
So, okay, now we've talked about preventive measures now. We've talked about policy and the rest. Lagos is taking the lead when it comes to implementation of environmental actions. How can such policies be enforced? Like you said, they need to update the policy. How can the one leading in Lagos, when you throw refuse, you're arrested. Should they criminalize such hazardous act?
The psychology of humans, they only come to realization when they feel that there is a punitive measure attached. Okay. We Nigerians generally, I speak because I can speak comfortably because I'm a Nigerian. So yes, if there's no punitive measure, people, what will happen? They will just shout. So yes, punitive measures should be attached. However, it should not be something very what do they call it? It should not be something very
strict.
Yeah, not rigid. Something. It should not be something very rigid. But yeah, there should be a certain punitive measure. Like if you go through the VAP Act, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, some of the even the criminal code, yes. You see that they will not say if anyone breaks this law, we pay 15 naira, and I'm like, oh my God, this needs to be updated. Yeah. This needs to be updated because and then if you go to court, that stands because that is what is in place.
Exactly.
So yes, there should be an optimal punishment for all of that because people need to understand. Like I say, people only come to the realization of something when they see that there's a punitive measure attached. Otherwise, nobody really cares.
So I think we've had a very, very, very wonderful conversation. I mean, I can stay here all day. But we have to go. But lastly, I want you, what's your last word for this episode? What would be your last word?
What would be my last word? My last word is disaster response is everyone's business. It's not one man's business. It is not just government. It is not just community. It is both for women, girls, adult youth. So everybody be involved because it's justice for all. A disaster that is not well planned for becomes an injustice to PWDs, to youth, rural youth, women, girls, men, and all. So adequate preparation, adequate planning, we can mitigate this. We can mitigate the effects of these climate actions. So yeah, that's my final word.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I've had a wonderful conversation here. It's been, should I say, emotional, expressive, a wonderful dialogue. But let's not forget, flooding is considered as a global disaster, and it's one of the devastating global disasters globally. And currently, the federal government has raised an alarm of over 32 states to face this flooding incident.
Yeah.
Now, you've all heard the wonderful conversation. Flooding is not just the one man's business. The youth play a role. Nigeria as a whole, we all play, Nigerians, we all play a role in this reoccurring crisis. And in no matter the small way you do it, be it clearing your gutter, the drainage, whatever, little things matter when it comes to this. And with that, we call it a wrap here on 360 Youth Dialogue. Thank you for staying tuned here on 360 Youth Dialogue, only on Third Eye Africa TV. My name is Juliet Owura. Bye for now.